Block 1, 900 words. The banishment. My daughter banished me to the kitchen at my granddaughter's party, right in front of nearly 300 people. Not with a whisper, not with a polite suggestion. With a coordinator in black, a headset, a clipboard, and a flat palm held out like a barrier. And then, right as my daughter raised her champagne glass to make her big speech, the lights went out. Not a gentle dim, not mood lighting. A hard blackout that swallowed the ballroom like a curtain drop. For a second, all you heard was a collective inhale. That frozen moment when a crowd doesn't know whether to laugh, panic, or pretend nothing happened. And in that breath of darkness, something became painfully clear. I paid for everything. Every flower, every chair, every fork, every song, every Instagram wall covered in imported roses. Without my signature, not a single plate should have left that kitchen. My name is Marilyn Hart. I'm 68, and I didn't walk into Cedar Ridge Country Club that night as a guest. I walked in as the reason the party existed. Earlier that afternoon, I'd stood in my bedroom mirror smoothing down a deep burgundy dress, the kind of color that doesn't beg for attention but still knows its worth. It wasn't designer. It didn't need to be. It fit. It was pressed. It made me feel like myself again. The woman who raised a daughter alone, built a business from nothing, and still showed up for everyone else even when nobody showed up for her. I clipped on pearl earrings, real pearls, a gift from my late husband, Ray, back when we still had peace before hospital bills started swallowing our lives. My fingers ached with arthritis as I fastened the backs, but I didn't complain. I'd stopped complaining years ago. Complaining never paid a bill. In my clutch, wrapped in velvet, I carried a silver cake server, heavy, engraved, old. Not valuable in the modern sense, but it was the one I used at my wedding, the one I used when my daughter, Tessa, turned 16. Now it was meant for my granddaughter, Ava. Tradition matters, even when people act like it doesn't. On the ride to the country club, storefronts blurred past the window while I tried not to think about the numbers, because I knew them too well. The ballroom deposit, the lighting package, the monogram backdrop with Ava's initials in gold, the band and the DJ Tessa called non-negotiable, the photo booth, the imported flowers, the catering, the biggest check of all. That money didn't fall from the sky. It came from my savings. Real savings. The kind you build by skipping vacations and luxuries because you're busy treating everyone else. Months ago, Tessa had told me, "Mom, don't worry. Just pay and enjoy. I've got the planning handled." She said it sweetly, like she was protecting me from stress. Now I understood what it really was. A strategy. Keep me out of meetings. Keep me off emails. Keep me away from paperwork. So when the night came, she could erase me from the story. When I arrived, the valet took my car like I belonged there. The entrance smelled of perfume and expensive candles, like the building itself was trying to convince you you were safe. Inside, the ballroom glowed. Crystal chandeliers, white linens, gold accents, a room staged to say, "Look how successful we are." I scanned the crowd. Plenty of familiar faces. People who never called when my husband died, but somehow had time for free filet and a photo booth. I saw Tessa near the raised head table, radiant in a champagne-colored dress, laughing too loudly with women who looked like they'd never carried their own groceries. And I saw Ava, beautiful, young, half hidden behind her phone. That stung more than I expected. I'd imagined she'd see me and run over the way she used to, but the phone had her, the party had her, the life her mother sold her had her. Still, I smiled. I walked forward. I lifted my chin, because I knew where my seat was supposed to be, at the family table, up on the platform, beside my daughter, beside my granddaughter. One step from the first stair, a woman in black cut directly in front of me. "Ms. Hart?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes." She lifted a palm again. "I'm Courtney, the event coordinator. I'm so sorry, but I can't let you go up there." Music shifted between songs. Her voice landed sharper in the gap. Heads turned, people watched. Heat climbed my neck. "I'm her mother," I said calmly. "I'm Ava's grandmother. My seat is up there." Courtney glanced at her clipboard like it mattered. Then she lowered her voice with that polite cruelty people use when they're cutting you down. Tessa gave specific instructions. "The head table is full." "Full?" I blinked. It wasn't full. I could see empty space. I could see chairs occupied by strangers, people who didn't know Ava's middle name. I looked toward my daughter. Tessa met my eyes for half a second. Then she looked away. Not embarrassed, not confused, deliberate, like she was swiping me off a screen. My chest tightened so fast I thought I might be sick. Then where am I supposed to sit? I asked. Courtney pointed past the last row of tables, past the dance floor, toward the swinging doors where staff moved like shadows. There's a small table in the kitchen area, she said. It's quieter back there, less stimulation. Then she added with a tight smile, and it'll blend better with the aesthetic. Blend better. Like my presence was a stain on her perfect photo. People nearby heard. Some looked sympathetic, others looked thrilled. Like humiliation was entertainment. Tessa thought I would shrink. She thought I'd swallow it because I always had. She thought love would make me quiet. But love doesn't mean letting someone use you. I gave Courtney a gentle smile. Of course, I said softly. The kitchen. And I turned. Not like a woman being punished. Like a woman walking exactly where she needs to go. Because my daughter had just sent me to the one place I understand better than anyone in that ballroom. The place where power actually lives. As I stepped into the service hallway, away from chandeliers and laughter, I slid my phone from my clutch and opened my contacts. One name sat there like a match waiting to strike. Graham Catering, owner direct. I pressed call. And as it rang, I heard my daughter's voice rising through the ballroom speakers. Good evening, everyone. The crowd quieted for her. They had no idea the woman she'd hidden in the kitchen still held the switch. Block 2, 900 words. The contract. Graham Catering, a man answered, rushed. We're in service. Who is this? This is Marilyn Hart, I said. The hallway was cooler than the ballroom, air smelling faintly of sanitizer and warm bread. My reflection stared back from a stainless steel door. Older, yes, but not small. There was a beat of silence. Then his tone shifted, like someone had snapped him to attention. Ms. Hart. Yes, ma'am. Are you at Cedar Ridge right now? Everything okay? My captain said the crowd's big. It's big, I said evenly. Pull up the contract for tonight. Ava Hart's party. Keys tapped. Okay, yes, I've got it. Read me the client name. Marilyn Hart. And who signed? You did. Who paid the balance? You did. 2 weeks ago. Full payment cleared. Your daughter is listed as point of contact for decor coordination, but you're the account holder. Perfect, I said. My fingers weren't shaking anymore. Through the crack in the swinging doors, I could see the platform. Tessa stood there, microphone in hand, smiling like a woman who believed she'd finally climbed into a better class. Tonight, her voice floated, muffled but proud. We celebrate my Ava, my heart. She said my like ownership. Like I was a forgotten receipt. Mr. Graham, I said, cutting through his breathing, I'm giving you a new instruction as the contracted client. Yes, ma'am. I want service paused. Silence. Paused as in, hold the next course? As in stop, I said. No plates leave that kitchen. He hesitated. Ms. Hart, there are hundreds of guests. We're about to run the entree. If we stop now, it will cause consequences. I agreed. That's the point. His voice went careful. Did something happen? I didn't raise mine. My daughter had her coordinator block me from the head table, I said. She told them to send me to the kitchen because there was no room. On the other end, I heard him turn away and mutter something. When he came back, his voice was lower, furious on my behalf. That is, wow. Ms. Hart, I'm sorry. So am I said. Now follow the next instruction. Yes, ma'am. I want your team to clear what's already been set on tables. Bottles, chargers, bread baskets, all of it. He inhaled. You want us to remove everything I paid for, I said. Start with the head table. Ms. Hart, he warned softly. Your daughter is going to lose her mind. I stared at the doors like I could see the future through them. She already did, I said. She just did it in a dress. Another pause. Then, okay, I'll do it, but I need to protect my staff. You will, I promised. The contract is in my name. If anyone tries to blame you, send them to me. He didn't argue again. Give me 90 seconds, he said. I'm calling my floor captain right now. I hung up and stood still in the service hallway where no one could see the storm forming. I didn't feel giddy. I didn't feel cruel. I felt awake, because this wasn't revenge. It was a boundary, a line drawn in ink and payments and signed documents. I pushed through the kitchen doors. The staff looked up, chefs in white coats, servers in black vests, hands moving fast under fluorescent lights. They saw my face, and something shifted. Because kitchens know. Kitchens always know who pays. A tall man with a crisp tie, the floor captain, stepped forward, headset pressed to his ear. "Ms. Hart?" he asked carefully. "Are you the client?" "I am." Behind him, plated entrees waited, filet medallions, vegetables bright, sauce gleaming. His headset crackled. He listened. His eyes widened. "Yes," he said into the mic. "Understood." He lowered his hand and turned to his team. "All staff. New directive. We're clearing service. Begin retrieval immediately." A few servers blinked. Then the captain repeated it sharper, and the kitchen snapped into a different rhythm. Not serving. Undoing. Trays came back. Bottles lifted. Silverware gathered like evidence. Bread baskets disappeared. Chargers stacked. Through the doors, I heard applause. Tessa finishing her speech. "And I just want to thank everyone for being here for our family." Our family. Then chaos began. A server walked onto the platform and calmly lifted a full champagne bottle from the head table, set it on his tray, and walked away. Someone frowned. Another server removed bread. Another collected place settings. Confused murmurs rolled across the room like a slow wave. Tessa's voice rose, strained. "Excuse me, what are you doing?" The floor captain didn't answer her. He didn't need to. The kitchen headset crackled again, and the captain's gaze flicked toward the audio booth. A second later, the music stuttered, one harsh squeal, and died. The ballroom fell into an awkward silence. Hundreds of people forced to hear themselves breathing. Then the chandeliers flickered. Once, twice, and the lights went out. Gasps exploded. A glass shattered. Someone shouted, "What's happening?" Phone screens bloomed like fireflies, cold beams sweeping over sequins and shocked faces. I didn't move. I set my clutch on a prep table like I was placing a crown on a throne, because I knew what would happen next. They weren't going to stay out there in the dark. Not my daughter, not with an audience. She was coming to find someone to blame, and when she did, she'd have to do the one thing she'd avoided for years, walk into the kitchen and face the woman she tried to hide. Block 3, 900 words. The confrontation. In the dark, the ballroom didn't feel luxurious anymore. It felt primitive. Whispers turned into nervous laughter, then into sharp accusations, people trying to make discomfort belong to someone else. Is this part of the program? Did somebody trip a breaker? Where's security? From the kitchen doors, I heard Tessa's voice, high, strained, trying to control a room with nothing but volume. "Everybody stay calm. Courtney, where are you, Courtney?" A chair scraped. Another glass broke. Then the swinging doors slammed open. Courtney stumbled into the kitchen, headset crooked, clipboard clutched to her chest like a shield. And behind her, right on cue, came Tessa. Not the polished hostess from 10 minutes ago. A frantic woman in a tight dress, mascara already smudging, gripping her phone like it could save her. She didn't look at the chefs. She looked for me. "Mom!" she snapped, the word hitting the tile like a slap. "What did you do?" The staff froze mid-motion. A line cook held a pan in the air like time stopped. Tessa didn't care. Or worse, she did, and she still didn't care. She marched up, phone flashlight aimed at my face like an interrogation lamp. "Fix it," she hissed. "Right now." I kept my voice quiet. "Hello, Tessa." Her laugh was sharp. "Don't hello me. Do you have any idea who's out there? The Martins, the Keens, my ex-husband's partners, people I need." I tilted my head. "You needed them more than you needed your mother at your own daughter's party?" Courtney took a small step back, suddenly realizing she'd been used. Tessa whipped toward her. "Why are you standing there? Call the venue manager." "I did," Courtney said, voice shaking. "He said the directive came from the client on record." Tessa's eyes snapped back to me. The silence between us turned heavy. "You wouldn't," she said, disbelief, not confidence. "I didn't perform. I didn't banish myself to the kitchen," I said. "You did." She clenched her jaw. "This is Ava's night. You're ruining it." A soft movement behind her. Ava appeared in the doorway, phone light trembling in her hand, cheeks wet. "Mom?" Ava's voice cracked. "Why is everyone leaving?" Tessa's face changed instantly, actress on stage. "Baby, it's okay," she cooed. "Just a technical issue. Grandma's—" She stopped herself before she said what she wanted. Grandma's being difficult. Instead, she turned back to me, voice softer, hands raised like she was negotiating. "Mom, please, fix the lights. We'll talk later." There it was. Not an apology. A request. A transaction. I looked past her at the kitchen crew, people with burns on their arms and calluses on their hands, people who could tell who had worked for their money and who had only spent it. They didn't look amused. They looked insulted on my behalf. I set my clutch down gently and pulled out my phone. I opened the catering contract PDF and held it up in the dim emergency lighting. "Tessa," I said calmly, "do you know what client of record means?" She swallowed. "I don't have time for this. It means the person whose name is on the contract decides what happens next." Ava stared at the screen, blinking through tears. Courtney leaned in just enough to see my name at the top. Tessa's throat moved hard. "You're doing this because I asked for one small thing," she spat. "One small thing?" I repeated. "You had your coordinator block me in front of 300 people. You told her to send me to the kitchen so I wouldn't ruin the aesthetic." Ava's eyes snapped to her mother. Tessa flinched, just a fraction, because she hadn't expected Ava to hear that word. Ava's voice came out small. "Mom, you said that?" Tessa snapped, desperate. "No, I didn't. Courtney, tell her." Courtney opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Because Courtney knew what she'd said, and she knew who told her to. Tessa's face hardened. If she couldn't win with sweetness, she'd win with threats. She stepped close, lowering her voice so only I could hear. "If you don't fix this," she whispered, "you will not see Ava again." There it was, the favorite weapon, the leash. Old Marilyn would have folded. Old Marilyn would have panicked, begged, apologized. But something in me had shifted when the chandeliers went out. I looked her in the eye. "You don't get to hold someone hostage and call it family." Her nostrils flared. "Watch me." I lifted my phone again. "You want the lights back? I can restore them fast." Her eyes flashed with relief, until I added, "But the catering stays paused, and the truth stays out there." Her expression cracked. "You're insane." "No," I said. "I'm awake." Ava whispered, "Grandma." I turned to her, softening. "Sweetheart, I came to celebrate you. I brought you something that belonged to the women before you." I opened my clutch and lifted the velvet-wrapped silver cake server. Even in the dim light, it caught a warm glint. Ava's tears paused, like her mind needed a second to process something real. "That was yours?" she asked. "It was mine," I said. "And now it's meant to be yours, if you want it." Tessa lunged a half step. "Not now." Ava didn't look at her mother. She looked at me. And in that moment, I realized the night wasn't just about my humiliation. It was about breaking a cycle. Tessa inhaled, forcing control again. "Mom, we can fix this quietly. You can come back out. I'll make room. We'll put you at the head table. Then the real part. But you need to stop embarrassing me." I smiled. Small, almost gentle. "Embarrassing you?" "Tessa, you embarrassed yourself the moment you tried to hide who paid for your life." Her face went pale, because she knew what I was about to do next. I turned toward the staff corridor door where venue technicians went in and out. I didn't touch anything myself. I simply called the floor captain over and said quietly, "Restore lighting, now." The captain nodded, professional, fast, relaying the instruction to the venue tech. Tessa's voice shook. "Don't." I looked at her. "Here's what's going to happen." And in the silence of the kitchen, I spoke like a woman reading terms and conditions. "I'm going to turn the lights back on," I said. Relief rushed into her face. "So everyone can see exactly what kind of night you created." Her relief died, and a second later, the ballroom lights snapped back to life. Block 4, 900 words. The exposed ballroom. The chandeliers roared back on like stage lights. A collective "oh" rolled through the ballroom as 300 people blinked, suddenly exposed. No music, no ambiance, just bright light and awkward silence, the kind you can't talk your way out of. I walked out of the kitchen like I belonged at the center of the room. Because I did. The head table looked stripped. No bread baskets, no bottles, no place settings. Just linens and confusion. Guests stood half out of their chairs, phones up, whispering, scanning for someone to blame. Then they saw me. A woman in burgundy stepping through service doors with her head high, the silver cake server in velvet like a ceremonial blade. Behind me, Tessa followed, frantic, trying to rearrange reality with her face alone. She forced a smile. Everyone. We had a minor vendor issue. But her voice didn't land. Because the vendors weren't the story anymore. I was. A man in a suit approached with careful posture. Mr. Reynolds, the venue manager. He didn't stop in front of Tessa. He stopped in front of me. "Ms. Hart," he said respectfully, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "I wanted to confirm, do you wish to keep the ballroom open until midnight as contracted, or are we closing early?" Tessa's smile froze. Her eyes widened like a trapdoor opened under her. "I'm the host," she snapped. Mr. Reynolds didn't even look at her. His gaze stayed on me. In that moment, every adult in that room understood. The real host wasn't the woman in the champagne dress. It was the woman she tried to hide. "Keep it open," I said calmly. Mr. Reynolds nodded. "Understood. If you require security support for anything, you just let me know." He stepped away. Whispers multiplied. "Wait, the mother paid? That's why the staff listened. Isn't that her house they live in?" Tessa turned to me, voice low and vicious. "You're enjoying this." I met her eyes. "No, Tessa, I'm enduring it, like I've endured you." Her face twisted. Then she did what she always did when she felt cornered. She grabbed my arm, hard. Not violent enough to cause a scene, but controlling enough to claim ownership. "Give me your phone," she hissed. "Call the caterer. Tell them to come back. Now." Around us, people pretended not to stare while staring anyway. Ava stood near the head table, hands shaking around her phone. I gently pulled my arm free. "No." Tessa's eyes flashed. "Then you're not coming back to our house." A ripple went through the nearest tables. Because the sentence landed like a confession. Our house. She lived in my house, not the other way around. I breathed in and let my voice carry. Calm, controlled. "Tessa," I said, "you don't get to evict the person who pays the mortgage." The room fell silent in a different way. The kind of silence where people stop chewing because something real just hit the table. Tessa's face drained of color. Ava's head lifted, eyes widening. "Mom, what?" Tessa spun toward Ava. "Sweetheart, go sit down." Ava didn't move, and that was new. I stepped toward the center of the ballroom, not to humiliate anyone, but because I refused to be hidden again. "I'm not here to ruin my granddaughter's night," I said, loud enough for nearby guests, but not loud enough to become a spectacle. "I'm here because I love her." Murmurs. "I paid for this party because I wanted her to feel celebrated." More murmurs. "But tonight I was told there was no room for me at the family table." Tessa tried to cut in. "Mom, stop." I looked at her once, disappointed, not angry. "The table had plenty of space," I said, "just not for the person who paid for it." Her friends shifted uncomfortably. The glitter suddenly felt ugly. I turned to Ava. "Ava, sweetheart, come here." Ava hesitated. Tessa snapped, "Don't." Ava looked at her mother, then at me. And for the first time that night, she walked toward me anyway. I unwrapped the velvet cloth and revealed the silver cake server. "This cut the cake at my wedding," I said softly, "and at your mother's sweet 16. I wanted it to be yours tonight." Ava stared like she was seeing a piece of herself for the first time. Tessa's voice came sharp. "That's not part of the program." I ignored her and glanced at the towering cake waiting at the side table. Pristine, ridiculous, crowned with gold initials. "The cake is here," I said. "Tradition says the birthday girl cuts it." A hum of agreement ran through the crowd. People love tradition, especially when it becomes a moment. Mr. Reynolds hovered nearby, alert. Tessa saw the room leaning. She forced a smile that looked painful. "Fine. Cut the cake. Let's just do that." Courtney reappeared, wide-eyed, rummaging frantically. Knife set, she muttered, then looked up, terrified. "There isn't one." Tessa's head snapped. "What do you mean there isn't one?" The caterers took the cutlery, Courtney whispered. All of it. The crowd caught the tension. Oh my God, someone murmured. Tessa turned to me, voice trembling. Give it to me. She reached for the cake server. I didn't move it. No, I said. You're going to make Ava cut her cake with nothing? I held the server out, not to Tessa, to Ava. Ava, I said quietly, this is yours if you want it. Ava's fingers wrapped around the handle. It was heavier than she expected. Her wrists dipped slightly. Grandma, thank you, she whispered. Tessa's breath hitched because the symbolism was obvious to everyone. Grandmother, granddaughter, the tool, the history. And the mother standing off to the side, excluded by her own choices. Ava pressed the server into the cake. Fondant cracked softly in the quiet. A few people clapped, uncertain at first, then louder, because humans clap when they don't know what else to do. Tessa leaned in, whispering like a threat wrapped in shame. This isn't over. I met her gaze. I know, because the party was only the stage. The real consequence was waiting at home, where bank balances don't lie and deeds don't care about feelings. Block 5, 900 words. The aftermath. The ballroom emptied the way a lie empties. Fast, noisy, and full of side-eye. People didn't leave the way they arrived with squeals and selfies. They left with tight smiles and hurried steps, murmuring excuses no one believed. Poor Ava. Did you hear the mom doesn't even pay for her own party? That was the grandmother. The grandmother paid. Every sentence was a crack in the glass. Tessa tried to stop the bleeding at the doors. It was a vendor misunderstanding, she kept repeating, voice strained, hands fluttering like she could paste the night back together if she talked fast enough. But nobody stays to be convinced when they've already gotten what they came for. Entertainment, drama, proof the perfect family wasn't perfect. By the time the last car pulled out, the ballroom looked like the aftermath of a storm. Half-melted candles, crushed napkins, smeared frosting, and expensive flowers drooping like they were embarrassed to be there. Ava sat near the cake table holding her phone but not looking at it. Her mascara had dried in faint tracks. She didn't speak. Courtney vanished. The DJ packed up without playing a real set. The staff moved like ghosts, avoiding Tessa's eyes. And then Tessa turned to me. No audience now, no reason to pretend. Her face changed into something raw, rage, without makeup. Are you proud of yourself? She said. I didn't answer right away. I watched Ava, quiet, still, looking like a girl who'd just learned adults can fail loudly. I'm not proud, I said finally. I'm finished. Tessa's laugh was bitter. Finished? With what? With being a mother? No, I said. With being your credit card. Her eyes flared. You ruined Ava's night. I glanced at Ava again. You ruined it when you made humiliation part of the decoration. Tessa's jaw clenched. You always do this. You always make it about money. I met her stare. It's not about money. It's about what you think money buys. She took a step closer. You think you can control everything because you pay? I didn't move. No, I think you've controlled me because I paid. Silence fell between us. Then, like clockwork, she reached for the weapon she always used. If you don't fix this, she said low, you won't see Ava again. Ava's shoulders tightened. I looked at Ava, then back at Tessa. You're not going to use her as a leash anymore. Tessa opened her mouth to snap back, but Mr. Reynolds approached, professional and cautious. Ms. Hart, he said, Graham Catering has confirmed the client instruction. If there are any disputes, the venue will document that they acted under contract authority. Tessa's face twitched. Document, authority, contract. Words that don't care about charm. She forced a smile at him. Thank you. We'll handle it. Mr. Reynolds nodded once, then looked at me again, not her, and walked away. That look, respect, hit Tessa harder than any whisper in the crowd. On the drive home, Tessa was silent. Ava stared out the window. My clutch sat in my lap, the velvet folded neatly around the cake server like a promise. At home, Tessa's heels clicked across my floor like she owned it. She stopped in the entryway and spun on me. You think you won? You think this makes you some hero? I hung up my coat calmly. I think it makes me honest. She scoffed. People will talk. People already talked, I said. Ava slipped past us without a word and went upstairs. Tessa watched her go, then turned back to me. You're going to apologize. Tomorrow. To Ava. To me. I looked at her like she'd spoken in another language. No, I said. Her eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? I'm not apologizing for refusing humiliation, I said. I'm not apologizing for reading my own contracts. She stepped closer, voice rising. You can't just stop. You can't pull the rug out from under us. I held her gaze. I can, and that's what terrifies you. Her breath went fast, like panic was trying to claw its way out. I have payments, she hissed. Utilities, HOA, Ava's school. Do you know how expensive things are? I do, I said. I've paid them. She pointed a shaking finger. Then pay them, like you always have. I didn't flinch. No. Her voice cracked. So what? You want us to suffer? I kept my tone steady. I want you to grow up. She stared at me, stunned, like she'd never considered that adulthood could be enforced. Then she spat. You're cold. I nodded once. I'm calm. Tessa's lips trembled. I don't even know who you are right now. I looked around my own home, my furniture, my walls, my quiet. You do, I said. You just don't like her. Tessa's eyes glistened. Rage, humiliation, fear tangled together. This isn't over, she whispered. I didn't argue, because she was right. It wasn't over. The party was the public moment, but the real fight, the financial one, would happen in daylight, where bank systems don't care about tears and paperwork doesn't bend for charm. I went to bed that night without checking my phone 100 times, without rehearsing apologies in my head. For the first time in years, I slept like someone who owned her own life. Block 6, 900 words. The bank app. I woke before sunrise the way I always had. Not because anyone needed me, because my body remembered what it meant to build a life with work, not wishes. The house was quiet in that deep, pre-dawn way. No music, no buzzing phones, no performance. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the slow ticking of my kitchen clock. My kitchen. Not Tessa's aesthetic. Mine. I pulled on an old cotton robe. Faded, soft. The one Tessa used to tease me about. Mom, you can't wear that. It looks cheap. That morning, I tied it tighter like armor. I moved through the kitchen with unhurried hands. I filled the kettle. I ground coffee the way my late husband taught me. When that warm, bitter smell rose, something in my chest unclenched. I cooked myself breakfast. Eggs, toast, fruit. Simple, honest, food that didn't need a ring light. I carried my plate to the dining room and sat at the head of the table. Not hiding, not in the back, not in the kitchen like a shadow. At the head. The sun hadn't cleared the horizon when the fallout arrived. A heel, a thud, a muffled groan. Tessa came down the stairs like humiliation had bruised her bones. Her hair was tangled, face pale and puffy. The gold dress was gone, replaced by an oversized sweatshirt. She stopped in the doorway when she saw me. Her eyes flicked to my plate, my coffee, my posture, like my calm offended her. My head is killing me, she muttered, rubbing her temple. It was a nightmare getting home. I had to call Jenna's husband. He made me Venmo gas money. Do you know how humiliating that was? She waited for sympathy. I took another bite. Chewed. Swallowed. The coffee's on the counter, I said. Help yourself. Her eyebrows snapped together. She stared at the empty place setting in front of her. And my breakfast? She asked, like the universe had malfunctioned. In the fridge, I said. Eggs, ham, bread. The stove works. She blinked, processing the impossible. You're not making it? Her voice rose. No. Her mouth opened, then shut. Her face reddened. Unbelievable, she hissed. After what you did last night, you're acting like this? I set my fork down gently, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted every sound to be heard. Tessa, I said, steady and final. I didn't do anything to you last night. I stopped doing things for you. That hit her like a slap. You destroyed Ava's night, she said, voice shaking. You embarrassed us. I lifted my eyes. No, you embarrassed yourself the moment you let Courtney block my path, the moment you decided I was worth less than your influential friends. She swallowed hard. You're obsessed with money. It's not control, I said. its consequences. Soft footsteps came down the stairs. Ava appeared, barefaced, hair tied back, looking younger without glitter and lashes. She stopped when she saw us. Her eyes moved from my plate to her mother's face to my calm. She didn't speak at first. She just stood there like she wasn't sure where she belonged. Ava walked past her mother, opened the pantry, pulled out oatmeal, then milk. Tessa stared like Ava had committed betrayal. "Ava, what are you doing?" she snapped. Ava didn't look up. "I'm hungry." Tessa's mouth tightened. "You're just going to let her act like this?" Ava finally lifted her eyes, tired. "She's not acting," she said. "She's done." The air changed. That one sentence took power out of Tessa's hands. Tessa turned to me, voice cracking now. "Mom, we need help. We can't just..." I leaned back slightly. "You can," I said. "You just never had to." Her breathing sped up. Then, like always, she threatened. "If you don't fix this," she whispered, "you're not seeing Ava again." I stood slowly and walked to the counter where my phone sat. I unlocked it and turned the screen toward her. "You already tried to weaponize her," I said. "That's why I'm doing this now." She squinted. "What is that?" "My bank app." Her face tightened. And I said the words I'd rehearsed all night. "I canceled the automatic mortgage payments." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I canceled the transfers to your personal account," I continued. "The ones that covered your bills." "No," she breathed. "You can't." "I did." Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone and started tapping frantically, like reality could be negotiated with effort. Then her face drained, color leaving her cheeks. It's empty," she whispered. "Not my account. Hers. The Illusion Fund. I have payments," she said. "HOA, utilities, Ava's school. You have 2 healthy hands," I said. "You have an education. You have contacts." Her voice went higher. "People are going to talk. People already talked," I said. "And the ones who matter will still be here." Ava sat at the table eating oatmeal. Quiet, watching, not defending her mother, not begging me. Just observing what accountability looks like. Tessa's eyes flicked to Ava and back to me. Her voice went small. "I don't know how to do this," she said. It wasn't an apology, but it was the first honest sentence she'd spoken in a long time. I didn't soften, but I didn't strike either. "I'll help you with a plan," I said. "You'll have a roof. You'll have food." I held her gaze. "But your lifestyle, your status, your parties, that's over. If you want it, you earn it." Silence filled the room. Not tense, but new. Like a door closing gently and permanently. Then Ava's voice cut through, small and unexpected. "Grandma?" I turned. "Thanks. For last night," she whispered. Tessa jerked. "For what? For ruining everything?" Ava looked down at her bowl. "For showing me," she said. "What happens when the lights go out?" My throat tightened once. I nodded. "Eat," I told her gently. "You're going to need energy." Because I knew the truth. Last night wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The party was the stage. The blackout was the lesson. And now the real fight would happen in daylight, where bank balances don't lie and ownership doesn't care about feelings. I took a sip of coffee and looked out the window at the sky turning pale gold. For the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt since my husband was alive. Freedom. And in my pocket, my keys felt heavier than metal. They felt like ownership. Like power. The kind you don't have to scream about. The kind you simply hold. And this time, I wasn't letting go.